Money. What feelings does that word create in you? Is it a rush of excitement sending dollar signs racing through your mind like a slot machine? Perhaps you feel driven, eager to send those work emails you've been putting off, or spend an additional hour drafting that movie script you're confident would be a success. But perhaps you don't. Perhaps the mere mention of money makes your hands clammy, your pulse rate increases, and your brain begins to do somersaults around all the ways you don't need more money. Want more money? Whatever your response is, we all have one because, as they say, money makes the world go round. It doesn't matter if it's your $5 coffee every morning to start your day, or the $3,000 loan payment you just paid. Most of us do not consume, spend, study, or worry about money. You may be the driver of a sports vehicle wearing a diamond necklace, or you could be a homeless person watching that car drive by on some level. Money is important to every one of us, but not in the same way. It's amazing how much we don't know about it, and how many things we believe we do are simply incorrect. Contrary to popular belief, money as we know it now has stayed virtually constant for millennia, at least in its physical form. In 118 BCE, the first evidence of what we could call a banknote appeared in the shape of a piece of leather in China, and paper currency appeared 900 years later. It would be some 100 years before this type of currency reached Europe, and then the rest of the world centuries later. But the core notions developed by the Chinese aren't that different from what we have today. The only actual distinction is what these notes and coins symbolize. The gold standard, which established in England in the early 1800s, was the first truly global system of value and currency. It directly linked the value of a currency to the recognized value of gold. As a result, in a country like the United States, $1 was equivalent to exactly 1/50th ounce of gold. This system was designed in such a way that it would ideally provide a stable monetary environment all over the world, and it did for a time. But as with all natural resources, the supply of gold was not as stable as we had assumed. As a result, countries began abandoning it as a method of measuring the worth of money. Richard Nixon was the President of the United States in 1971. Officially ended the convertible relationship between dollars and gold. I've asked Secretary Conley to temporarily suspend the dollar's convertibility into gold or other reserve assets. By that point, the US dollar had become the world's reserve currency. Thus, once the dollar's worth was no longer determined by the value of gold, pretty much nothing else was. What exactly makes $1 worth $1 if the value of the dollar is no longer dictated by the value of gold? Instead of a commodity-based system like the gold standard, we now have fiat currency, which has no intrinsic value and is instead supported by the government. What gives today's dollar its worth is the United States economic supply and demand, as well as who regulates that, the governmental financial system. The Treasury and the U.S. Mint are in charge of printing money in the United States. However, as seen by the expanding number of digital businesses and the use of iPads in place of cash registers, money printing is a fading industry. So, if a government does not technically print money, how does currency enter circulation? The great bulk of money lives solely as numbers on a computer, enormous sums of money digitally credited to commercial banks by a country's central bank. Based on the country's economic circumstances, the central bank determines how much money it deposits in commercial banks. Some of that money was sent directly to bank accounts in the early days of the pandemic in the United States in the form of stimulus checks. But that is an extreme case, and most of the time, the money does not wind up with us. This is how it normally goes. A central bank transfers funds to banks and credit unions around the country, who then disperse the funds into the economy by lending it to their customers. This brings us to the subject of debt. Approximately 80% of Americans are in some form of debt. However, many people are unaware of what debt is and how its many components function. What they do know, and what is supported by several research, is that even the prospect of paying off debt can cause substantial emotional distress. No one wants to owe anyone anything, but with the expense of living far outstripping our earnings, loans are a necessary evil that everyone despises, but that most people cannot live without. You take out a loan to buy a car, establish a small business, go to college, or buy a house. With the money in their bank accounts, very few people can buy a property. Nonetheless, we all require a place to live. Some people prefer to rent, while others take out a bank loan in the form of a mortgage. However, banks are not charitable organizations. They're designed to earn a profit, which they do through interest. The amount you, the borrower, pay to use the money lent by a bank or financial organization is referred to as interest. Consider it similar to the monthly rent you pay on your residence. You do not own the flat, but you do have access to it for a charge. You rent the money you use to buy your house. Buy now, pay later is not confined to big purchases like a house or college. Since the credit card, most items we buy follow this model. I can't afford a couch. A credit card has. Want the new iPhone? Pay your ISP weekly. Xboxes follow the same model. We increasingly use credit to buy sandwiches, clothes, even dog food. If we pay our amounts on time and avoid credit card interest, we'll be fine. However, many of us, especially in difficult times, accumulate credit card interest, which can quickly lead to financial ruin. Credit cards are risky yet can help in a pinch. Are they worthwhile? Concerns arise. Some worry credit cards will lead to debt. Others use credit cards frequently to develop credit, which is crucial in today's world if you've ever rented an apartment or bought a car. Whatever side of the debate you're on, one thing we can all agree on is that you should use credit cards with caution so that you don't overspend and end up in much deeper debt than necessary. You can have enough spare income to finally do anything with your money if you are wise with your credit savings and increase your income. Whatever a financially secure individual suggests. Invest. Investing is just devoting your money to something in order to gain a financial return. It is putting your money to work for you. One investment phrase is that the bigger the risk, the greater the gain. Bond investments are safer but offer lesser returns, whereas individual stock investments can generate exceptionally large profits but are also extremely dangerous. And don't even get me started on cryptocurrency. We'll need a full film to go into investing properly, but in the end, if we have the opportunity, our objective is to expand our wealth in order to enhance how much we're worth, and that's the entire idea of money, to indicate how much something or someone is worth. How important is a carefree retirement to you? This affects retirement savings. A car. We might buy a premium car for comfort and social status. Thus, as a community, we value material goods, ourselves, and others. Forbes and Bloomberg published wealthy individuals' net worth to rank people. Dozens of reporters travel the world looking for millionaires and billionaires, gathering personal information, totaling all of their presumed assets, and subtracting their obligations. So, if Jeff Bezos owns 10% of Amazon, and we deduct his plane, boat, and any other creature comforts from that 10%, we should be able to calculate his net worth. Doesn't that simple addition and subtraction appear deceptively simple? That's because it is difficult to obtain solid statistics and to determine where wealthy people keep their money. Many of the world's wealthiest people are investment bankers, but the composition of their firms' portfolios remains unknown on a daily basis, which directly affects the wealth of people in charge. There are also disparities in celebrity wealth, which may be the source of our interest. Kylie Jenner was once believed to be the world's youngest self-made billionaire, but her company is worth more than its monetary value. It's valued because she's a part of it. The value of the company is dependent on her participation. Her money is entwined with her business, making the scenario even more difficult. I'm sorry to break it to you, but most celebrity networks are merely educated guesses that do not accurately reflect how much power they wield. Knowing a few things about money can help us see the world more clearly and to stop being so overwhelmed by economic news, because while money isn't everything, not having it is. That's all for today. Thanks for watching the video. If you enjoyed the video, make sure to subscribe to our channel Luxe Haven and don't forget to hit the bell icon.